it's a very
Well, there's an ongoing interesting evolution with them,
okay.
because they've been loud or not sensitive to others, with light sounds. I might have mentioned they're drinkers and uh conflicts sometimes with the lawn mowing. Anyway,
Hmm.
but then the one woman, she knows that I've lost help with the lawn. And then she mowed. Did I tell you how she mowed my lawn?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
you did.
So then, but then the other day, like at 1 in the afternoon, when it was like at its hottest level, she had her brother mow my lawn.
Wow.
So I'm like, wow. It's like, it's interesting because in one way, I'm like, problem solved. But in another way, it's like, this is really surreal. The evolution of the friendship, of the relationship.
Yeah.
So I'm just watching the situation. Uh like it's transformed from something that was more negative to something that's more benevolent.
Hmm. That's cool.
But I kind of need to do a boundary thing now.
Okay.
Uh so I'm just looking at um relationships, if they're coming together, if they're becoming
Mhm.
harmonious, more edgy. It Because things are changing all the time.
Right.
So actually, you just remind me, I have that on my to-do list to be like, okay, man, like last time I gave them cookies and things.
Oh, yeah.
Cookies every 2 weeks. Like, maybe we need to talk about this.
And what does this look like? What's supportive for you?
Yeah, right. Um, yeah, so anyway, yeah, I don't that bring I want to get into some cleaner boundaries, and that is a murky boundary, so I'm going to clean that up.
Okay.
And yeah, there's been some directness,
Tell
like
me more.
I just I I I had Treya ask me, really, I think it was Friday or
Mhm.
late Thursday night, if I could play at the fest, Oneness Fest,
Oh, wow. Right before it.
because they had a cancellation.
Ah, okay.
We were asked last year. The producer of the event told me months in advance he wanted an Andalila.
Okay.
And I had to put together a different band because the ladies were traveling. And then Treya is involved with the programming of the music this year. And um, this is a new expression. I hope it won't go throughout. My girlfriend just turned me on to it. My butt was hurt because she didn't ask Ananda
Yeah.
to play.
Yeah.
Like everybody in our community and other friends are all in the lineup, and I'm like, what's that about? You
Yeah.
know. And then so when she called last minute, I was just
Hmm.
I was a little like, okay, this is okay, why doesn't this feel good? Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it already didn't feel good. So
Right.
I was caught off guard because I was
Uh-huh.
at work. She was in an emergency, and she's like, I know Muriel's not available. And then I'm like, yeah, I don't think Paula is. I'm just doing this. And she's saying what time maybe. And then I was pausing, like trying to figure it out. And then I just blurted out, my whole body is saying no.
Holy crap, Shanti. Oh, wait, I can't. Oh, there. Now you're back. Your sound went away for a second.
Okay. It just flew out of my mouth.
Hell yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, well, I guess that's good. You're really being honest."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that happened. Still thinking about it. And I still there's more to go with her because I'm on another event with her where my
Okay.
butt is hurt a little bit.
Ah, okay.
It's this a little bit of the same dynamic. She asked Jordan and Cole and Megan to be in this thing and didn't ask me, and then
Hmm.
promoted it 2 days before my 31st when it
Okay.
like all, but then later afterthought, oh, do you want to do a chant or two? And I did say yes, but uh part of me is might want to say my body's saying fuck you. No, but I understand that's just me being a little taking some stuff in a sensitive way, but I do feel a little tweaked, you know. So it's hard for me to know
Mhm.
when I'm being overly sensitive and taking things a little personally, or just um being gentle with myself and saying that's okay if you're feeling left out or not
Yeah.
approached in a way that's an afterthought or not the main ingredient. But I'm also sitting with that I am a really minor player in the whole thing, so I do want to be careful about my boundaries, about my energy output. You know, it's a lot of stuff going on there. So
Yeah.
yeah, just I think what's happening is these interactions with people and all these collaborations, there's a lot of different energies. And
Hmm.
I, as the theme of what you were mentioning for tomorrow,
Mm.
I I feel sensitive and a little tweaked because um, some of the arrangements are there's just a lot of energy flipping around, and
Yeah.
some of it's uncomfortable for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really quite know what to do with that. I'm just sharing
Yeah.
that I had a really powerful boundary, like my body says no,
Right.
and there's a part 2 in a way because
Yep.
I still have an engagement with her,
Yeah.
you know.
Let's celebrate first part one and then we can move into part two, unless there's more that you want to share.
Yeah, that's good for now.
Okay. So, what was it like to have your back? What did you notice? And even if you didn't even know you were going to say it, but you just said, I have a whole body no.
It's like, who said that? Like, who is this? It's like, wow, that's freaking authentic because it just was a force. So I was sort of tickled and surprised. So that was part 1.
Okay.
Part 2 was I can't lie and I can't hide and I can't repress, you know. And part 3 was um there's probably 4 parts. Part 3 was also I have a pattern with her where I've been super blunt with her. Like when
Mhm.
we were arranging for the 31st, I don't know what it is. I'm super blunt and it's almost like cold blunt with her.
Okay.
I'm like, wow, this girl, I don't know what it is, but
Hmm.
I'm being like this with her.
Okay.
And then I'm doubting myself.
Ah, so then the doubt comes in after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And when you, like, if you look back at the times when you said that you were like kind of cold and blunt, what was happening in your body? Because it sounds like something was crossed and you were having to stand up, stand your ground, but I could.
Yeah, because it would be things where um I'm something's being asked of me. It could be something simple like where do I put all my cases for the bowls when I'm in the middle of sound check?
Hmm.
And then I'm starting to try to entertain that. And then I'm like,
Figure it out.
I don't know. you
Okay.
know, like, so there were things that were um, where I felt put upon or pulled or where it was pulling me out of my flow
Hmm.
or something that, yeah.
Okay.
So I just got abrupt.
Okay. And I'm curious when the doubt showed up, did you have any conversations with your brain like we talked about before?
Yeah. Well, so things with the doubt, sometimes we're in real time in that moment with a lot going on.
Hmm.
Just filed it away.
Okay.
But as this other thing happened, whenever that was Friday,
Hmm.
I was just like, wow, I have a buildup here, I think, with her in particular.
Right.
So uh, I could see what there was a little bit of upset that led to the burst
Hmm.
because
Mm.
I think there's things that were handled in a way that weren't fully supportive. So I could see there's guilt because I would have liked to have been softer,
Mm. Okay.
but um, more diplomatic. But I think it also pointed to that I've had some distrust and anger. Um, it's all a bit of a protective energy
Yes.
way.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing a theme of. And is there something specific that you distrust with them, Latreia?
Well,
And remember, everything you share here stays here, does not leave here.
I just thought, just this is just my feeling. I thought it's um, to be mutually supportive
Hmm.
for her to create an event that looked so similar to that event with all the main presenters and Megan that she met at the October event
Ah,
and put it a blast advertising that like 3 days before our event, like all these same people, same time frames, same activities, one other activity added. And then I'm not part of the event and advertise it right before our event. I thought that's bad taste. Like I just I just think she did then admit to me she was trying to loop in to get that event promoted at my event.
ah,
So, but I don't I don't trust that dynamic like because she'd asked all of us to not promote the event in a way that would compete with the oneness event. So she's aware of these things, like how you would give a certain bandwidth towards events and focusing on that. And then
right,
so I have distrust because I think she's operating in a way to take care of her own things without how it's impacting the community.
right, right. So what I'm hearing from you is she asked to promote her event, but yet when you wanted to promote other events, she asked you not to. So her actions are incongruent with what she is doing.
Yeah, and it shows me she's kind of aware of how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like an unconscious, I'm promoting this, not like right before your event, the same kind of thing.
Right.
Like like it's not like she's unconscious about what that is. and she did circle back with a mind dump. Like I thought about just putting the word out right after your event, and then I wanted to be sure to be able to use this event to promote my event. So she kind of unpacked it with, in a message to me,
Right.
but um I just I so I that's not how I that's not how I flow.
Right.
And there's not we don't share the same like respect or kindness or inclusivity of others that you're in the community that you're all creating within.
Right.
There's a lot of great stuff in sensitivity about her, but I just saw this other um side that made me that's what's behind my feeling.
Right. And what if this is part of your honing your discernment muscles again?
Right. Right. Yes. So the
Be-
boundaries, um, yeah, I think with all that that happened before this, my whole body says no. That was all behind that.
But look at how fierce you were to advocate for yourself in that moment. Because if you were to ask her, hey, Treya, how would it feel if last minute, knowing all the other people in our community had been asked, but last minute you asked me, how would that feel for you?
Right?
Like, to me, that feels pretty shitty.
Yeah, right. And I don't know if I'm going to actually have that conversation with her because she's moving like a bullet train. It's not worth it to me. It's like, um, there's this one event, and um, that's my, we'll see. What, yeah. So I think though there's the boundaries, there's a little trust issue. There's the reminder about collaborating and who you're collaborating with. And,
Right.
I went from everybody on October, I felt very safe with,
Yeah.
very together with. And I knew I was branching out, like with Jordan and Treya, to folks that are not in my inner heart trust friend zone.
Right.
They're both very um, fierce about, you know, birthing their tour or their gigs or their projects, and not always super connected to other. So those folks sometimes are not the best, safest collaborators emotionally for me,
Right.
because I give more, I'm more caring or reciprocal or tender.
Right.
They're operating in a different way. So I think I need to look at how to have boundaries that aren't like super fiercely protecting and defensive,
Yeah.
and gentler.
Okay. And I want to check in, where would you like regarding kind of this topic? Because I know this is kind of a ripple effect into probably other areas of your life. This one, um,
Yeah.
where would you like to be by the end of our time together? So I know where we're going to, or we have an idea. And if you don't know, that's okay.
I think I want to have these boundaries and stand up for myself, but release the charge that has the anger and the mistrust, the defensiveness.
Hmm.
Um, I do have a reoccurring pattern of feeling not seen or considered or respected. So I don't know, that's a lot of stuff, right?
Well, what does it look like to have your own back because you said you don't feel seen or heard, and then the defensiveness shows up. And what I also heard you say when you're not seen or heard, um, is there's a sense that you have a knowing that these kind like I don't want to that these are kind of they're promoting their stuff. It's about them. It's more self-focused as opposed to like
Yeah.
what's going to serve the best for the community. Is that true?
Yeah, to some extent, that's my feel. And it might not, well, yeah, there's different levels of that and with each person.
Right.
So, yeah, like
Okay.
my sense of serving the community is for others and the greater good is much more like
Right.
we don't have matching focus.
Right. And that's not wrong.
Yeah.
But now that you know that, how might you have your back on this? Because you can see Treya keeps showing you. Are you willing to believe her?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So how can you have your own back? Just like you did the other day. My body's a hell no. Well, full no.
Well, the other thing I did, another part to have my back,
Yeah.
this continues. This next event that I was added on last minute
Hmm.
added me and another woman last minute,
Okay.
but then was promoting with a graphic that didn't have our photo on it.
Oh, after she already talked to you, she promoted this. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. And what's showing up for you in that? With her asking and requesting and you agreeing and then not including you on the promotion.
Yeah. So I sat with that because that was happening. And then I thought she was making steps. I was trying to be patient with it because I knew she was coming to my event and this and that. And she had mentioned dealing with stuff, but it was kind of a weird drama in a group chat and
Mm.
others trying to. She then added me and the other woman to the flyer, but it wasn't showing up like on Facebook. And then this other woman and I talked that her butt was hurt.
Right.
And we processed a bit. And then I thought, then I did say something this morning because
Ah,
I knew the way it was going, Treya wasn't going to deal with shit till after this fest.
correct.
And then somebody in the event was reposting the flyer without me and the other woman on it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Hmm.
So I just on Facebook said, wouldn't it be much more supportive and inclusive if you would only be using the flyer that has me and the other woman and stop using this? And then he's like, oh, okay. And I'll talk to Treya. And the other woman actually bowed out today.
Wow.
Yeah. So there, sorry to be so full of stories today, but I felt like I said something. So that was another
It's
way that I could flag the issue.
right.
And then I tagged my other friend, and I think something in that was the last straw for her. And um, my thing is, I'm not going to bow out though. It's not that egregious. People are trying to repair it. They're she's trying to she reworked the graphic, but it's a sloppy process, and a little careless. So um I've just resolved that my boundary will be I'm watching and I'm not going to overinvest energetically.
Awesome.
You know, I'm going to keep my commitment to
Okay.
offering my little thing
Okay.
and just not overinvest and um I'll have a good time, it's but I think I'm learning some stuff, you know. So I think what I need to do today is I think this kind of boundary or sticking up for myself and flagging stuff, I just am so uncomfortable with it.
Well,
Um,
it might be a little newer for you, Shanti. Like this is a thing that you're stepping into. So I think that's why, like from my perspective, it sounds like that's why your muse was just like, oh no. Like, and it was like fiercely no when you spoke to her about Oneness Fest. And
yeah,
then this last thing you allowed because you're like, I do appreciate the community and who she's gathering with. I don't like the approach that she took. And I'm
yeah,
not going to invest as much energy as I normally would have.
right.
What
Yeah.
else would honor you? Well, actually, I'm curious. Are you allowing, like, because there's layers of frustration that show up with Trey, is what I keep hearing.
Yes.
So, would you be willing to keep asking when the frustration shows up? What is the fire what's rising up in me? Like that fire, frustration is a fire emotion to rise up and choose differently.
Yeah.
What am I being invited to choose? Because you might be being invited to choose you. I don't know.
Um, well, I am in being invited, excuse me. This is a cycle because
Yep.
I'm involved in a lot of big community mosh pit events
Yep.
a long time and negotiated so many things. And every few years, I will entertain being part of somebody's thing. And more often than not, there's something like this. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that anymore.
Ah,
And then a handful of years later, I'll consider it again to see
yep.
if things are better. And so I've had a visitation in being part of festivals and big things. It's not great.
Hmm.
So I'm
Awesome.
like, still not great.
Good to know. So what does it look like then to have your back on this if you know that now that festivals aren't great, but also closing down isn't the option? Like that's not the answer.
Yeah. So right now, though, I'm just recommitted to just doing my own self-produced events. These big things with crazy chaotic things I'm not liking it. You know, if
Yeah.
somebody is going to ask me to do, let's say, a kirtan, I would have a lot of questions and some conditions. And if they can't answer them, then it's a no. I think
Awesome.
I need to be really like this stuff is usually things aren't clear and people kind of ask you and they
Yeah.
thing evolves and it's very chaotic. So if I just say what I need or can you confirm whatever it might be, is there a sound system, da 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 da, and
Right.
if they don't know, then that's like, okay, you guys are not professional. I think I need to reframe. I don't have to have this, I'm never doing a fest
Right.
or something, but I need to step up my um filtering.
Yeah. Would you be willing to keep asking what will honor me?
Yeah. Okay.
What will honor me? So you're weak, like you keep talking about boundaries, and I'm curious when you think of a boundary, because what I'm hearing from you is you're protecting yourself with these boundaries, but you're also keeping out things. Is that true? At least a little bit?
Uh, well, I still feel like I'm letting everything in, kind of,
Okay, cool.
and then as something really crazy comes up, then I'm like smacking it away.
Perfect. It's like a fly is what I got a
Yeah.
picture of. It's like,
Yeah.
no, go away, you're annoying. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm letting in more than I want to,
okay.
yeah.
Ooh, that's some good information. You're letting in more than you want to.
Yeah.
Are you still in the place of deeply honoring yourself and standing up for you to have your back? Because you can tell Treya isn't going to have your back.
Right.
She's got
No.
her own back. She can't
Yeah.
have yours.
Right. Um,
So what?
yeah. So how do I get there? I think I've done this sweep this last year, and I'm like, um, and yeah, I need to have my back better. Like I can get my back, but it's a lot of energy, and sometimes it's a fight.
Yes. Because Shanti, let's be real, you've never had to do this before. So right now it may feel like it's a fight
Mm-hmm.
because you are fighting for you and
Mm-hmm.
to hold your ground.
Yeah.
So this might be something you explore, but what does it look like to collaborate with others? What do you need in place to deeply honor your offering to the community? Like you need a sound system. You need like could you put together a list of what would honor you so that you know if this is a hell yes or it could be a maybe or a hell no and once it's a maybe because they don't have information. Once
Yeah.
they give you information, then you can discern yes or no.
Right. Yeah, I like that. So a list of what would honor me, which is a total yes, and to know when it's a maybe because things are not clear. And that might still be me saying it's a maybe until you let me know, right?
Absolutely. Because you're still being honest and clear. They have to provide clarity for you to choose.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't, then you're getting information so you can choose.
Right. Right.
And it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I turned somebody else down. There was a separate camp within the fest.
Yeah.
That guy asked me to do some kirtan and stuff, and he's one of the crazy event producers.
Yeah.
I've been dancing with his stuff for 20 years or something. So,
Mm,
and I recently was part of something where it was a fight,
okay.
but I fought hard to make sure we had a space, and it was fine, but I don't want to have to fight like that. So anyway, he's like, oh, he asked me to be part of his thing, and I'm like, no. I did two no's for that weekend. um,
It's huge, Shanti.
yeah,
You
uh,
had your back.
right. So okay, back to this guilt or this tenseness
Hmm.
when I say no or when I'm trying to advocate
Hmm.
for myself. Um, I would like to get to a point of saying no in a way that's so light and easy, not like some fierce Xena warrior goddess.
Okay. But what if right now, I know right now it's like Xena Warrior Goddess, but this is a new muscle. So you're still honing your muscles because in the past you would go for peace, right?
Yeah.
But it would rip you to pieces.
Yes.
So right now your muse is like fiercely advocating and was like, "Oh, it's a hell no to my body."
Yeah.
And you're starting to figure out how can I make this so it's I'm staying in relationship to them and I'm having my own back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm. Um, Yeah, there's some kind of anxiousness.
Okay, so there's anxiousness, and then you said there's also frustration. So I'm curious, are you moving that energy when it's here? So when you feel the frustration around the fest or the other people, do you move it through your body?
I don't think I really have. I've just
Okay.
taken care of what the details, like said no or did
Yes.
whatever.
And what if that, like when the anxiousness shows up, is your invitation to pause and to breathe and to move whatever energy you're feeling before you have a conversation?
Um, well, if I was having a planned conversation,
Right. A lot of it's like just spent.
yeah, so I was sort of like a deer in the headlights though when she called me. I was literally like detached from my body because I knew it was not quite right. It wasn't right for me.
Yeah.
And I was circling around and talking out loud. And that's why I'm like, thank God for the body that, but I couldn't do stuff in real time very well, like the breathing and the stuff.
Nope.
Um, maybe that did happen, me speaking up because of some of the grounding into trusting my body.
Right.
So,
And it might not be in those situations, Shanti, but when the anger, frustration, anything that's in that wheelhouse of fire, you move it physically through your body. What is this rising up in me to choose? Because
yeah,
it's there to choose differently. And then the anxiety is showing up to breathe some new life into you.
okay,
So you have both of these things, but if you respond from the anger, you start a forest fire. You put
yeah,
it out onto others, and that's not what you want ideally.
right,
But sometimes we have to start there. Oh, yep, that's not it. Cool. Let me find a different way.
yeah,
And I'm not saying that's what you did, but
right. It could easily happen.
right. But you moving the like you being with whatever's here is here to move you to choose differently.
Yeah. So maybe I need to do more of a contract with myself and a focusing or a list of what I'm going to be choosing.
Mm,
You know, like what you were saying about the list of what would honor me,
yeah.
not just with um, gigs or whatever, but in general.
Ooh, so you have a list for gigs, and then you also have a list for like more general of what would honor Shanti.
Yeah, because actually, this is going on in my personal life now that I think about it.
Of course it is. Yeah. Tell me
Yeah,
more.
I've had some boundary setting with um, in a few areas actually.
Yeah.
So, another deep talk with somebody who stuff's not really great,
Mm,
and um, yeah, I'm communicating, and it's kind of fierce. Um, and it's showing me I've outgrown my old
mhm.
life because if I were to make the list of my ideal life and friendships and projects, some of these folks that I've known like 30, 40 years and the dynamic or whatever, it doesn't line up with my current, you know,
Yeah.
life. So um I want to keep focused on what I want to be creating. Um I think there's grieving.
Hmm.
Um like I'm right in the middle of it. I'm
Mm,
having a hard time letting folks go. Um
yeah.
yeah.
So can we try something, a little experiment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're having a hard time, and this has been a little bit of a theme. So you said you're having a hard time letting go. Okay, so let's make a fist. And we might have done this before, but we're gonna shift it based on what's showing up now. So make a fist and squeeze it really tight. So now you're having a hard time letting go. So let's try to let go as you're creating the fist by prying it open. Like, I'm just going to stay connected because I've known them for so long. And we justify it, we rationalize it. Just start to do that and imagine that's what you're doing. Every time you're justifying it, you're rationalizing it, you're making up excuses around it. Versus now I'm going to believe these people and who they're showing me. So I'm going to have my own back. So now just wrap your hand around it. And notice what happens naturally with the fist is you just wrap your hand around it, supporting yourself. Does that
Yeah.
fist start to open?
Yeah.
Does it start to let go?
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
if it could be even easier, but your brain right now is trying to figure out how to do this with more ease, but your body already knows the way. It's you trusting yourself and having your own back
Mm-hmm.
because it sounds a little bit like when the details come up, when you're stuck in the details, that's where you abandon yourself. That's where you leave Shanti and everything you're experiencing. Is that true or no? You can correct me.
I'm not sure. Trying to think of, I don't know. Like, you mean details, like, what do you mean by details showing up?
So, like you've shared in the past, like you have an event coming up and you've got to figure out all the details and the logistics, and you're like, and I completely didn't do the Muse method at all. I stopped connecting to myself, and I didn't have, there's all the things. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like though the details become a priority and managing all of that to make sure the things are executed.
Yeah.
And it's there's a little bit of a sense of I've got to control this.
Yeah. I think, like, I'm thinking if I just put this beautiful structure in place and have good intentions, that it's going to flow. Um, but stuff happens. So, uh,
Right. But if people are going to treat you as you treat yourself, so if you're not going to have your own back all the time, others aren't going to have your back either.
yeah. Right. Yeah. Um, like in that vein though, like if there's this pattern of two things with Treya where I'm an afterthought
Mm-hmm.
or a little ingredient, I could logically look at her plan like for the event and see she's prioritizing her band and all her stuff and her best buddies.
Correct.
Um, but I'm like in her world, yeah, I'm the a little bit, this afterthought. So in my mind, according to this logic, though, it's like if she's people are treating me how I treat myself,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why she would be treating me as this optional additive. Because
Mm,
like, what am I up to that I'm not treating myself as a like a priority or something? I don't know. Like, um, it could be that I'm not resting in the Ananda Lila work or what I'm up to with that
mm-hmm.
in a full embodied way either. So energetically, it's not like radiating this sense of priority. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just trying to apply
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
And this might be one that you sit with because we don't always know how it's showing up until we're in relationship to it. Because I mean, you could even ask her, "Hey, Trey, I'm just curious. I've noticed this twice now. You've asked me as kind of like an afterthought. You have the event all put together, and then you ask me, a couple days before or a few weeks before. I'm just curious. Is there a reason?" Because that might be her stuff too, to be real. That could be her stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Or you don't go there at all and you just are listening to the wisdom that you're receiving and you honor that. And maybe right now it's you. And I say this because of what you brought up around the grief. You start to track just even just a bulleted list of throughout the day of what emotions are you noticing to just start to be in relationship to your emotions, kind of like the details, but it's like the details of Shanti.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm wondering if over time things just keeps getting swept under the rug and then all of a sudden they start to build up and then fierce Shanti comes out because she's like, "Oh hell no."
I felt like this last weekend was a lot of honoring myself. Like, I didn't go to the fest at all. I just
Cool.
thought, well, I didn't want to deal with the heat for one thing.
Don't blame you.
And I just thought, I'm not feeling great about this situation. Um, I don't, I was only going to go Saturday night anyways, and I don't need to go support this fest. I don't know.
That's-
And
Wait,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, I was doing a coffee with somebody earlier and I was going to go. And I decided I don't need to go. And I just kept hanging out with my buddy, which was
Yeah.
really, really great. Um, and then there's something else. Well, oh, yeah, I didn't go to something else on Sunday that just felt like a lot of the folks from the scene and a big energy. And I just thought that's not really got my back. Just being in a mosh pit of energy.
So what I'm wondering is if you are just honoring that you are sensitive and you're tuning into that because whenever there is chaotic kind of crazy energy, it puts you in a spiral and then you get all caught up in it. So you've been discerning of like that's not it. Like I don't want to have that chaos around like in the things that I am creating because then I'm bringing chaos to the space and that's not it.
Yeah, it just feels like it's not, I'm prioritizing intimacy uh within myself and with others.
Mm,
So like every decision I'm starting to see like, is the going to this fest going to add or take away from my peace?
uh-huh.
So that was a big no.
Right.
And Sunday, that was clear. Um, I decided to go over to the Buddhist temple and they had like a Buddhist study group. That was perfect.
Yes.
And yeah, I ended up with Chinoa,
Mm-hmm.
some healing stuff. Earlier in the weekend was
Nice.
healing and stuff. So in the end, I was like, wow, I really chose for my peace and more intimacy and more engagement with folks that I want to be like really be nurturing in my life. Um, and not that a bunch of young pups jumping around in a mosh pit. Like,
Not that that's wrong. They can do that, but you don't have to be a part of it.
and there's a big reevaluation going on. There's like, that's the old me, and
Yeah.
it's fun, but sometimes it's not. And I'm just sitting with that. If it's, I might be really different and not totally up for that now.
Cool.
Yeah.
You just said one of your priorities right now is intimacy, as
Yeah.
well as peace and engagement. So intimacy, into me, I see. You are seeing into you at this season of your life and what is honoring of Shanti.
Right. That feeds into the lists, you know. Yeah. So the lists would have things like a more grounded, calm, connecting, mutually supporting, really seeing and hearing each other, um, growing together,
Yeah.
enhancing each other's uh, what a toolkit even or process,
Yeah.
like shedding more light on each other's process. Um, yeah, having some fun,
Yeah.
you know. Mm, yeah, not exerting to the point of exhaustion.
Yeah.
You know? Some stuff is it's a lot of driving, and that can be like, well, that's not nourishing.
Mm, yeah. It may not be anymore. Before it might have been different, but now it's not.
Right. So that starts to point to like I might be operating on an old program where I'm like, yeah, let's go to the fest and jump around, let's roll around in the grass or whatever. And I'm still thinking that's who I am or that's what is fun. And now I'm learning, maybe not, only occasionally. So I can't
Right.
count on that old model.
Right. And what I heard you say that I want to celebrate is you're asking yourself, is this feel like it's going to create peace for me and it's going to be good for me? Yes,
Mhm.
and listening to your body, yes or no.
Yeah.
And keep asking those questions so you can hone in on what is intimacy again.
Yeah.
What do I need? What is going to honor me?
Hmm. Yeah. I guess I like thinking of these things where I'm saying no because that's used to be something I couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about a new friendship. And I've said no a lot to this friend,
Okay. And
and she's taking it.
okay.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, cool. Because what my no is showing her my boundaries. Like,
Right. But is it fierce and like the Xena warrior, or is it just
no,
gentle?
it's more gentle.
Ah, look at that. It's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. At first, I'd tell her no about carpooling somewhere or whatever, because it was going to add a lot of extra whatever,
Mhm.
or I'm locked in.
Yeah.
I'd just say, no, I can't do that. I'll meet you there. And then
Cool.
this time, I told her in part why I have the no. Like, I need a lot more alone time. So
Cool.
I'm happy to see you at the,
Mhm.
whatever, because it's like the Milwaukee Kirtan Fest. So her style is like, where are you staying? Can we try to get this whole enmeshment? And I'm like, no.
True. But look at by you being clear, you're being very kind to yourself as well as to her.
Right. Yeah. And the way she receives the no is so chipper. I'm like, oh, wow.
So maybe ask for more of that.
Yeah.
Show me more people that are going to respect my nose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when I hear the fierceness showing up in you and the examples you've given, it's when people are pushing against your boundaries
Yeah.
and kind of walking over you a little bit.
And also, too, I think Treya and Cole and this other dude that wanted me to do stuff, they thought I was going to be there. Um, I had mentioned I'd be there. It's not really a big deal, because I'm not offering something. They're not counting on me. I
Right.
don't I don't like to say, yeah, see you or I'll be there. And then I don't like to not uphold my word, but this is me playing with, hey man, uh, it became a no, you know.
Yeah. Well, you've experimented with in the past, having a commitment and then selling yourself, like
Yeah,
rolling the bus over you in the process. And now you're like, I'm not doing that anymore.
yeah.
Like I'm planning to go. I'm planning to go. That's
Hmm.
it. You don't have to say I'm going. I'm planning to go. That's what
Yeah,
I do. I'm just like, yeah, I'm planning to go because I have enough relationships in my life that are going to honor whatever shows up for me. And if they don't, I don't want you in my circle. I don't, because I don't got time for you. This life is too precious.
yeah,
And what you're shifting is rather than committing to them, something outside of you, you are committing to yourself.
yeah.
Honor you.
Um, yeah, right.
Rather than you being a cost of your word.
Yeah, right. I think with Treya it was a little different because she kind of this was part of the last minute fill in talk where I said no, after I said no,
Yeah.
she said, so I'll see you at the event still. And if something happened in the thingy where I didn't quite answer, it went sideways. And so
Uh,
I'll see you at the event. And that's where I felt like I'm like, yeah, I'll see you like I did, you know. And then I'm like, whatever.
yeah. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did take care of myself. So
Look at that. I love that for you.
yeah. Yeah, that would have been ridiculously like not self care.
No, no.
Yeah. Um, I think yeah, if I just can probably do the Muse method. I don't know. What's your recommendation for focusing in after hearing all this then?
Well, let's review and then we'll narrow that in. So what are you taking away from our time together and then we'll narrow in on like the focus.
Um, well, the main thing is like having my back. So that's like tuning in with everything going on to feel my body and
Mhm.
ask, is this going to have my back or
Right.
serve who I am now?
Yeah.
Um, and even though I think when I have that fire rising, that's like the Xena energy.
Mhm.
I'm for right now, I'm gonna say that's cool. It's not,
Yes.
you know, it's what it needs to be right now.
Yeah, because it's burning away the old way.
Right. It's better than the old way. So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna honor, I'll just call her Xena.
Apology, Zena. Honor the Xena part. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what will honor me? Um, with the goal of the boundaries that are the execution is can be uh, like have a light footprint, so to speak. It doesn't have to burn me out trying to
Mm-hmm.
this self care. I think I want to do this list of what would honor me with the band and personally.
Right.
Um, I could reframe anxiousness and anger or frustration. Um, that's pointing the way to how to choose differently.
And asking real time when they show up, what is your message for me? What are you inviting me to choose? Because
Yeah.
that's when you're going to get the feedback is real time when it is alive in you.
Okay. Yeah.
And then moving that energy somehow physically.
Um, uh, hey, well, intimacy is going to go on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Um, man, those might be the main things. Like, you know,
Yeah. And the last thing I had mentioned that we had discussed, and you don't have to do anything if it speaks to you, awesome, is maybe just have a bulleted like journal like list of your emotions as they're showing up real time so you can start to be in more relationship to what is showing up and not making it wrong.
okay.
So that would be like, yeah, go ahead.
That's kind of reminding me of some things that I used to do as far as journaling too. That's not really throughout the day, but that's a morning pages type. Um, well, I could weave that into the muse with the alarms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And just kind of keeping a the only reason you're writing it down is to make it to be more consciously aware of it. Because when we don't write it down or reflect it at some point, we're not consciously choosing. We're kind of just doing things out of habit, which is like, oh, wait, that's not what is supporting me anymore. So, and if you can, if you're recognizing like when you're doing the muse method and you're like, oh, I'm feeling anxious. Okay, what's your message for me? What are you inviting me to choose? And then you get some information, go do that. Go open up and breathe and expand more. Go look for the places where you can breathe. Or if it's the frustration, move the frustration through your body. Angry walk, punch some pillows, yell into some pillows, do something to physically move that energy out of your body.
Okay.
Because then you're saying, I want to be intimate with me. I'm going to be intimate with all of me. That includes even some of these harder emotions that I don't like. And then you'll also have some information before our next session of like kind of what has been showing up for you as you're deepening your intimacy
Yeah.
that we can keep working with what's here to keep moving you towards it.
Yeah. I just
Yeah,
had this epiphany with deepening the intimacy with even all the emotions. Um,
we're out of time. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
because a couple of the older relationships, those folks can't handle
Mm,
any the dark emotions.
yep.
It have like actually told me I don't want to hear that.
Awesome. They're showing you. Thank you.
So that's super ironic. Like the external is like they can't sit with that stuff. And that's exactly what I need to be doing, you know.
Mm, yeah, it's kind of showing you. It's pointing
Yeah.
you in the direction of where to go.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people can't be with the harder emotions,
Mhm.
but it's just like our heartbeat. It goes up and down. If it's just flat, you dead.
Yeah. But it could be that rather than being external, like sharing with another person, that all those avenues are being blocked off.
Yeah.
So I have to just do this, keep the energy inward, you know?
We'll keep it inward and move it out of you.
Yes. Yeah. I can't get distracted with other humans.
Yeah. And that's just information because those might not be your people to share the harder stuff with.
Mhm.
Cool. Now I know who are my people that if I need to share, I can speak that to.
Yep. Come
So
on.
how does that feel? Do you want more of a direction or does that feel support
Oh,
right now?
that kind of felt
Okay.
it. That was
I,
kind of,
I thought it would. I just wanted to kind of and
yeah.
keep having those conversations with your brain, especially when the doubt and the guilt show up.
Yeah.
Because the guilt is also an air emotion. It's here to breathe new life into you. But what you have known is like guilt is here to show us when we've done something wrong. Did you do something wrong by choosing you and honoring you?
Right.
No, I heard it in that little laugh. You're like, no, of course I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's really guilt or is it just the discomfort of choosing you?
Right.
And it's just masking itself as guilt. So you beat yourself up and now you pair that choice of honoring you with guilt.
Hmm. 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 Yeah. So,
So that might be a good question for you when the guilt shows up. Did I do something wrong?
yeah.
And
Huh.
that way you can meet the guilt and be like, I love you. I'm in the discomfort of choosing me.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Whew.
Okay, awesome. So do you want to look about a month out, Shanti? Or do we want to look like 3 weeks out? You tell me.
Um, I think I'm gonna still keep this 4 week dealio if we can.
Cool. Let's do it. So we've
Yep.
got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the 22nd of July.
Yeah.
Does that work for you?
Excuse me. Yes.
Okay, cool. 7:22 at 4 o'clock. And then cool. And then I'll follow up with the recording and the notes from today. And then feel free to text me as if you're noticing things and if you need support between now and then, I'm here as a resource for you to help you to deepen that intimacy.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be good. I'm gonna do um. Hmm, I'm getting on Venmo before I forget.
Okay.
Um, what is this? June?
Yes.
June. Alrighty. I hope it doesn't rain.
Well, if it rains tonight, that's awesome. Let it rain tonight. We need some water for our plants.
And
Uh,
then
and we'll
tomorrow.
see for tomorrow. I'll keep you posted. If you guys want to come, just shoot me a text tomorrow when you have a knowing.
Yeah. Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Bye.
And maybe
Thank
I'll
you.
see you tomorrow. If not, I will see you on the 22nd if I don't see you at an event before then, which I might.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
See you
Bye.
soon, Shanti. Bye.